Welcome back to Smart Life. I'm Dr. Gina. I was flipping through the channels this morning and I saw the saddest story. A family had lost a child when a car backed over their little boy. The conclusion? It was the government's fault, because if only the government had required car manufacturers to install backup cameras in every car, the little boy would be here today. And so, of course, that's exactly what the government did. Backup cameras will be required on all new cars within the next few years, and guess who will be footing the bill for that? You no longer have a choice on whether to spend a few $1,000s more when buying a car for the extra bells and whistles, because the government is making all these decisions for you. But this new regulation won't cost everyone money. There are some camera manufacturers who are making big bucks now that the government is required that everyone buy their product when they buy a car. I can see the whole Wolf of Wall Street style parties now. Imagine the announcement at the office when you hear that your company just made untold millions thanks to a new government regulation. There were lobbyists on that, I assure you. And we call that crony capitalism. And the man who's the expert on that is Seton Motley, president of Less Government. Seton, welcome to Smart Life.
Thank you, Dr. Gina. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Good to have you. It sounds really great to make new regulations in the name of saving children, and the left loves to do that. But there are some unintended consequences out there, aren't there?
Well, look, first of all, the Constitution does not empower the government to make this decision. Second of all, you're exactly right. What's been wrong with health care for the last 60 years, 70 years, beyond just the government spending $2 in every three before Obamacare, was all the government mandates at the state level where they said, okay, everybody in California has to cover transgender surgery. And you're like, wait a minute, what? Why do we have to do that? And all these mandates mean higher premiums, which means people who have no desire to ever have transgender surgery have to pay a huge rider on their policy to do that. Like you said, the government mandating things is going to drive up the cost of the product for everybody else, regardless of whether they want it or not. Now, is a backup camera a cool thing? Yeah, I have a car now that has one. But it should be an option for people to use it. It should not be government mandated. One, again, because it's unconstitutional. They don't have the authority to do this. And two, I think as the price point came down, it would become more of a standard feature in more cars, and you'd see it blossom as a standard feature.
Right.
And you're right. I'm sure there are companies that are friends with Obama that have the regulations tailored to them, so that only they are one of the few manufacturers that can do this, and therefore they're making tons of money off this mandate. Mm-hmm. As we saw with the green energy, the $80 billion green energy stimulus, in the stimulus, 80% of it went to Obama donors. So you're right. This amongst many bad things about this decision. One of them is the crony socialism aspect.
And the way that they use people, I mean, using families who've lost children in this is despicable. It's horrendous. I can't think of anything more insulting, because the very people this is going to hurt the most are the middle class that are already being assaulted under Obamacare and all the other regulations, and the companies that have had to cut jobs because of the massive regulation and bureaucracy. And so it really is the middle class family that's not going to be able to afford to get a car, and maybe before they could have gotten a new car with better mirrors on the side, the old-fashioned way, but now they're probably going to drive a car that's older because they're not going to be able to afford that newer car with the better mirrors.
Right.
And they're still not going to have the backup camera, by the way.
Yes, the government is the wedge between the rich and everybody else.
Yeah.
And the bigger government gets, the bigger the gap between wealthy and poor, because, the big companies, the rich people, are the ones that can afford the higher cost of higher taxes and more regulations. But at that level of taxation, at that level of regulation, fewer people who aren't rich can become rich or ascend up the ladder and fall further and further behind. So it's think of the government as the wedge between the rich and everyone else.
Yeah, kind of sad, and especially sad that most of that middle class doesn't even understand what's happening to them. This is something that you actually wrote on in the Daily Caller, and I really loved this because I've long been trying to articulate this point. I constantly spar with Darwinists on Twitter, and it's one of my favorite sports. If I have a dull moment, you'll see me out there picking fights. And you pointed out that it doesn't make sense, that it is somewhat hypocritical, really, that the statists are so opposed to Darwinian, I'll be able to talk later today, evolution in the marketplace, but they promote Darwinian evolution when it comes to freedom of religion. Explain about that.
Well, yeah, what I pointed out was, look, I believe in evolution. I believe it happened, but again, Darwin's book is called The Origin of Species, which is the one thing Darwinism can't explain, is where we came from. But anyway, what I pointed out is the most virulent Darwinists are the most anti-free market, and nothing's more Darwinian than the free market. In fact, it's Darwinian in compressed time. You don't have natural selection over the course of 100 generations of life. You have instantaneous natural selection. If you choose the wrong decision in your business, you could be extinct tomorrow. And it's natural selection. It's evolution of ideas and business practices, and it happens so quickly. And the same people that so prodigiously profess Darwinism when it comes to evolution loathe Darwinism and evolution and natural selection when it is so readily apparent in a free market economy.
Yeah, I mean, survival of the fittest. I mean, that's a beautiful definition for capitalism, and yet most people that subscribe to Darwinism, for whatever reason, at least those on the left side of politics, tend to really resent that, fight against it, and everything else. And it doesn't make sense, and it is a great hypocrisy.
Well, and they set up government programs to prop up people in opposition to natural selection, in opposition to survival of the fittest. And of course, you do not get fitter if you're relying on government largesse to eke out an existence. You get fitter by bottoming out and improving yourself and improving your skills and advancing the ball, which is evolution, which is natural selection on your part. It's a conscious natural selection, and that's what advances yourself and advances society, not the anti-Darwinists in the free market realm.
Seton, you study this stuff all the time, the crony capitalism, the things coming at us. You can probably predict the next imposition of our economic liberties. Tell us, in terms of business and economics, what do you see coming next?
Well, I'm afraid that Yellen, the new chairman of the Fed, has said she was going to start rolling back this printing of money, this $1 trillion a year of fake money that they were rolling out. And I think she got yelled at by a bunch of people, and now she says it's going to continue for a while. So unfortunately, what you're going to see is more really money flooding the system, which is a terrible thing. It puts off the day of reckoning. Because when that money is being printed and basically handed to Wall Street, and they're just sitting on it because the economy stinks and they don't want to put it into play. So when the money finally stops being printed, they're sitting on trillions of dollars of just liquid cash. And as soon as we get rid of Obama and replace him with somebody who knows what he's doing or isn't intentionally doing this, what's going to happen is as soon as the economy starts to turn around, this cash is going to flood back into the system, and that's going to destroy the value of the dollar. It's going to be huge inflation or huge deflation. We're not sure which. But all this fake money is going to really come back to haunt us as soon as it actually does hit the broader market.
Well, we'll be watching for that prediction, hoping that you're wrong, as I know we're always hoping we're wrong in our predictions, but sadly, with this administration, we rarely are. Seton Motley, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you.
Dr. Gina, have a great one. Thank you very much.
All right.